our family jury tonight.
My lord, I want this honorable court to set aside sentiments and look critically into this issue. Yes, she should be pitied because she's HIV positive.
We all know the only means through which this disease can be contacted: by sex, blood infusions, and sharp objects.
This is Family Jury.
Clerk, please read that to the hearing of everyone.
The case between Mr. and Mrs. Ene, case number 081/2011, filed on the 17th December 2011. Mr. Enebili filed for divorce because his wife, Mrs. Ene, is HIV positive.
Is the couple in court?
Yes, my lord.
I am Barrister Tunde, my lord. I'm standing for the petitioner, Mr. Justice Enebele.
I am Barrister Stella Daniels, and I'm standing for the respondent, Mrs. Ene Efe. Thank you.
Clerk, please let the petitioner and the respondent come into the dock.
Mr. and Mrs. Ene, please step to the door.
Mr. Ene, how long have you been married to your wife?
We have been married for 6 years.
Go ahead. Tell me about your family.
All right, my lord. I've been married to Efe for 6 years and 3 months. We have 2 children, a boy and a girl. And she's pregnant with another child.
So, Mr. Enebele, you filed for a divorce because your wife is HIV positive?
Yes, my lord.
What does your wife do?
She's a nurse.
She's a nurse?
Yeah, a nurse.
Mr. Enebele, if your wife never had HIV, would you have filed for a divorce?
No, my lord.
Mr. Justice Enebele, according to what you discussed with my lordship earlier, You have been married for 6 years and 3 months. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
You have 2 children and a wife that is pregnant. Could you please tell this honorable court how old your wife's pregnancy is?
I think it's about 5 weeks old.
You think? That means you're not sure.
Yes, I'm not sure.
I still remember you told my lordship earlier that if your wife hadn't been HIV positive, that you would have not filed for divorce.
I said so.
That means you want to abandon her simply because she's HIV positive? And you are lucky enough to be negative of the disease.
That is the wise thing to do.
So you are blaming your wife of being HIV positive. Is that it?
Yes, I blame her. If she had not gotten herself into extramarital affairs, she wouldn't have been infected of this terrible disease.
Mr. Ene, who told you specifically that your wife has this deadly virus?
She did.
Mrs. Ene, I honestly sympathize with you. I really do sympathize with you over your condition. But at the same time, I blame you.
How, if I may ask?
You don't know what I mean? Your mistakes, madam.
I don't know.
All right. All right. Let's pretend you don't know. But madam, you lied to your husband. How you got infected with this disease, which any other person could have done the same.
I never told him lies. Whatever I told him about my condition is the truth.
The truth? The truth? Is it that you'll be sleeping around with men, is it? Madam, the only truth I see here that you're telling this honorable court is how you've been spending nights in men's houses under the pretense of night duty.
That is what justice to do, isn't it? He can say any lie just to make sure he pushes me out of his house. But my God in heavens knows the truth.
This is Family Jury.
Children are the leaders of tomorrow. Don't kill the future of our youths. Broken homes can cause broken future. Avoid divorce. Brought to you by
Family Jury.
My lord, I would like my client here, Mrs. Ene, to tell this honorable court how she actually got this disease.
I met my husband 7 years ago.
Objection, my lord. My lord, please tell Mrs. Enebeli that we're not here for folk tales.
Objection overruled. Mrs. Ene, please go ahead.
I met my husband in a hospital 7 years ago. He had acute malaria and was brought to the hospital where I was working as a nurse. I gave him the whole attention he needed. And when he was finally discharged, he gave me his contact. We got married a few months later.
Mrs. Ene, the question is, how did you get infected of this disease? Straight to the point, please.
I was assigned by my daughter to take the blood sample of one of our patients for general test. I took the blood and the needle split out of my hand and landed on my leg. It cut me wounded. And when this month's result finally came out, It proved positive of HIV. I went for a test too. And I was positive.
Mrs. Ene, by any chance, did you tell your husband about this incident?
I did not. But I stopped having sex with him from that moment.
Why?
Because I didn't want him to be infected.
And what was your husband's reaction when you avoided him sexually?
He accused me of sleeping around with men. And when the pressure became too much, I told him the truth, but he never believed me.
It's all right, Mrs. Ene. Mr. Justice Enebele, your wife avoided you sexually when she found out she was HIV positive.
There was a period she denied me of sex. When I asked her why, she said she was fasting and praying and instructed by her pastor to avoid sex.
And then after she told you the truth, why she was avoiding you sexually? Because she was HIV positive.
Yes, please.
Because she loved you.
No. She did not love me.
Oh.
It's because she has conscience. And every other human with conscience will do the same.
So you know what is called conscience, Mr. Justice. Your wife has been infected. She was infected by this disease, HIV, in a very unfortunate way. And you stand here, filing for divorce, and accusing her of infidelity?
I always, warned her about her sleeping around, even before this infection issue came up. Yeah.
You have always complained about your wife sleeping around, haven't you? Even when she avoided you sexually simply because she's infected with HIV. Not knowing she was simply trying to save your life. Tell me, if she had had sex with you, as at the time, would you be standing here filing for divorce? Would you? Answer my question, Mr. Justice. Would you? She avoided you from being infected because she loves and cares for you. And now you want to push her away? Indeed, you have a conscience.
This is Family Jury.
Mr. Justice Enebele, your wife just told this honorable court that she avoided you sexually because she didn't want to get you infected with the disease. Is that correct?
She didn't avoid me. I was the one that avoided her.
And why did you avoid your wife?
Because I heard so much silly stories about her, what she does with men, and how she sometimes claims to go for night duty and end up in a man's house. When the rumor got to a point I could not contain it, I told my wife to quit nursing profession, that I would set up a business of her choice. She refused. According to her, she is called by God to save lives.
Mr. Enebele, are you still repeating the fact that your wife got infected through her extramarital affairs?
Exactly. I caught her several occasions in different men's houses. I confronted her on those occasions. She told me those men were her patients. The most annoying parts, as in the reason why I stopped sleeping with her, it was because of the one that happened 3 months ago.
Please, can you tell this honorable court what happened back then?
My wife left the house one night, claiming to be on night duty. She left the house at about 6:30 p.m. Unknown to her, I followed her.
And where did she go to?
Where else? In a man's house, of course. And yet, she shamelessly told me she was going to check on her patients on her way going to work.
Madam, from your story, you told this honorable court that you got the infection through a patient in your hospital.
Yes.
But I can't just imagine why it took you so long to tell your husband. Why did you have to wait to be pressurized for sex before you decided to tell him? My lord, I want this honorable court to set aside sentiments and look critically into this issue. Yes, she should be pitied because she's HIV positive. But her husband just filed for a divorce. Isn't it clear that she got what she deserved? Her husband begged her severally to quit nursing when he noticed that she was hiding under the umbrella of night duties to sleep around with men. And she got what she deserved. She got the disease. My lord, do we now allow this young man destroy his future over sentiments? I don't think so.
Mr. Ene, I want to take your mind back a little bit. I want you to think of how you met your wife. And think of the love that once existed between the both of you when you got married. Think of your marital vows. And I also want you to think of how your wife was infected. Because I believe that you know what she told you was the truth. My lord, I want you to critically look into this issue. Should this woman here be abandoned because she's HIV positive? Her husband asked her to quit her job as a nurse, and she refused, dedicating her life to save the life of others. She had 100% opportunity to infect her husband, but she did not. Now, the man that once confessed so much love is looking for the slightest opportunity to push her out of his life. She's been treated like an outcast. This is not right. It's not right in the sight of God and in the sight of man.
This is Family Jury.
Children are the leaders of tomorrow. Don't kill the future of our youths. Broken homes can cause broken future. Avoid divorce. Brought to you by
Family Jury.
This case is indeed a very complicated one. Mrs. Enebeli.
Yes, my lord.
I want you to understand that being HIV positive is not a death warrant. You can live your normal life. You can even live longer than those who are not living with the disease. Have you been seeing a doctor?
Yes, my lord. I'll be going for counseling, and I'm on medication too. My doctor assured me that my unborn child is safe from the disease. and that I may even live longer too. But I must take my medication.
Mr. Enebili.
Yes, my lord.
I have a question for you. Do you love your wife?
If it's when she never had this disease, I will say yes, I do. But I don't love her presently.
What else do you hate in her apart from the HIV virus she has?
Her job.
I see. I want two of you to understand that this is not an ordinary court. Our sole responsibility in this court is to restore shattered homes. There is a room in this court. It is called the reconciliation room. I want the two of you to go into that room and talk to each other before I pass my judgment. Clark, please take them to the reconciliation room. Mr. and Mrs. Enebili, please go into that room and discuss like husband and wife and not enemies. Clark, please take them.
Next on Family Jury.
This innocent woman here has been humiliated. She's been treated as an outcast by her own husband. There has been so much discrimination to the extent that she doesn't have access to her own children.
He is a concerned father, protecting his children from being infected with HIV/AIDS, which I think any other man on earth would have done the same.
I begged her to mention whatever she wants me to do so that she can go away. She said I should allow her carry my own children away.
He treated me like a piece of rag. He even drove me to the boys' quarter and took my children to his sister's house in Calabar.
Mr. Enebili here is a young man, full of life, and has a future to protect.
This is Family Jury.
Emmanuel Frederick Production. Marriage is God's arrangement. Protect it. Do not destroy it.